deja vu all over again, Stevie, as everyone kind of races towards the back end of the box, and then they kind of go for a reaction. Meanwhile, Taylor Canfield in the USA, they're going to play a little rope-a-dope and come in late.
Yeah, they are. As we look at the results over here on the left, Crucial, really good position. Third for North Star Canada, 22 points, right there with the Australians. USA in the mix again, Germany good. So a lot of teams really putting in some good results here. Yeah, USA have had a good strategy. Australia have been rock solid, consistent, being early back into the box. Emirates GBR, well, they need to get to part one in the fight to give themselves a chance at this. They've struggled with the start. They're late again here. They might be lining themselves up for what Peter Burling says was that late dive-through type start, but it's got risk associated. Left the picture, the Swiss. Middle back of the picture, the Los Gallos. They're going to look to find a gap. I love where the United States are again, though. Canfield somehow find a bit of space in amongst the mayhem. Whole fleets line themselves up towards the bottom of the line. Don't want to be trapped out like the last one. 13 seconds to go to the start. Rolex pole predictor sits on the top of the US wing. Can they execute from here? Bond's flying roos look perfect. Slingsby winds it up. He turns towards the start line. Look for the line to turn wide. What a start by the fleet. They're going wide. Now it's a pure boat speed race. Expect Slingsby to drop the hammer over the top from here.
This is the umpires. Penalty Germany. Window boat not keeping clear. Go behind France.
But as they approach mark number 1, it was 3 wide, then 4 wide, now 5 wide, as Red Bull Italy on the inside tries to keep the Aussies away from the whole shot.
Oh, what a job by the Italian team there. Of course, they've got the old Australian wing trimmer, Carl Langford, on board that Italian boat. Super brave. As they enter this dotted line here, that's when the rules will change over and the Australians will be allowed to manoeuvre away from the boundary. Italy sets up to manoeuvre. Here goes Slingsby. Who's going to execute best? Look how flat the platform stayed there, Todd, and then they just lean it slightly on top of them, wind up the acceleration.
And Hannah, if it looks a little more crowded out there, it's because the French are back in the mix. They picked up a sailor.
Yeah, that's right. They've got Australian reserve sailor Tom Needham on board, so a bit of a baptism of fire for him in that wing trimmer role. But they don't look to be doing too badly so far in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, what a day to be chopped in for the first day on the tools. Good luck, Tom. You possibly are going to need it. We'll look at this tight race as we come downwind here. They want to set up for a left turn on board Italy. The Australians are going to split away. They don't want to follow. So good news for Red Bull Italy if they can get... No, they're going to have to follow. None of them are making it down the course. Obviously, a slight change in the wind. Yeah, you can see that double manoeuvre for Italy. Don't think that's going to be good news. Australia have got a chance to make a gain as Emirates GBR up to third.
Gate 2 in the final race of the day. Remember, there's 3 more fleet races tomorrow before the event final. Only the top 3 teams as everyone tries to get the sweet spot. We check in down on the water. Lisa Darmanin, how are things looking? Has the wind shifted, and where's the favored spot?
Yeah, so the wind's actually just died off a little bit. So you know how they were saying that they were a little bit out of control with this 24-meter wing? I think now that it's, you know, maybe closer to 25 kilometers per hour, this all-purpose wing's really coming into his own, but means that all those ley lines and boundary calls will be slightly different with the angles, but not too light, but still changes the game slightly.
Apologies if you heard any language at that gate there. There's a very tight incident between Spain and Brazil. Big dial down through Mubadala, Brazil. They're unfortunately off the foils. They had the right of way as well. So a tight moment here. We see here they had to dive out the way of the Spanish. Look at right-hand side, Paul Goodison. He's absolutely hanging on to that side stay, holding the rig up. The double manoeuvre, boat out of the water, disaster. Not really their fault either. A little bit unfortunate, that one. Surprised there wasn't an incident called there. Red Bull Italy, though, well, they could do with a race win, and they look pretty good right now.
3 races, 3 different winners. USA won race number 1. The Bonds Flying Roos of Australia won race number 2. And Spain, Los Gallos, won race number 3. Can Phil Robertson and Red Bull Italy get it done here in race 4?
Yeah, I think the interesting, Hannah, don't you? You see right-hand side of screen, Los Gallos, they had a bit of a difficult downwind leg. They're sat in 8th. They could turn this into a 5th by the end of the race. I don't know if they can, but that to me would be an absolute power play.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things. If you can climb through the fleet, that can be so powerful. But for the boats that don't spend that much time at the front of the fleet, they understand at this point how much easier it is to sail the boat. But we do still see those mistakes creeping in. So Red Bull Italy, if they want to stay up in the 2nd place they're in at the moment, they're going to have to be really tight on all of their manoeuvres.
Lisa, the Australians seem to have found a bit of extra breeze on the right-hand side. They've made a big gain on Italy. So it's dropped a little bit, but is it still shiftier as you move further up the course?
Yeah, it's shifting, and there's sort of cloud lines come over the right-hand side, so it's playing with the course. It's only really 10 degrees difference, but you know, that can make the difference between not doing an extra maneuver, and that's hundreds of meters.
So the Bonds Flying Roos try to get 2 race wins out of 4 on day number 1, but you've got Phil Robertson, Kyle Langford on Red Bull Italy. They'll try to make some magic here in second place and hope that Tom Slingsby and that star-studded cast, Stevie, make a mistake.
Yeah, I think if you're hoping for that, you're a dreamer. I'm not sure I'm going to see a mistake from the Australians. Emirates GBR have done a nice job in the pack, and same as well for the US team. They've worked through well. Surprised to hear about clouds in Bermuda. There weren't any when I was there. That is for sure. But yeah, nice manoeuvre here. In Italy, they just want to get a solid one in there. They've had a tough day on board that Italian boat. We see Rockwall here. They've managed to cut the corner. Huge gain by the Danish. They just sailed a big wind shift, saved a lot less distance, but they are slow. They're going to struggle to accelerate again. A lot of load on them. If you get slow, there's a lot more load in the rig. Look how fast Spain are on the inside. Los Gallos, I said if they could get to 5th, they're already 6th.
USA split the course. They currently sit in 4th place right now, just behind Emirates GBR, who have their best race so far this weekend, as they are up to 3rd place. Everyone, though, chasing the Bonds Flying Roos and Red Bull Italy.
Yeah, on board North Star. They're in 8th at the moment.
Down if you want it, maybe not.
They've had a good weekend so far, but they need to turn this one into a solid keeper. They need to get somewhere near 6th if they can.
Turning, be gassy. Yours.
3 races, all top 5 finishes for Giles Scott and North Star Canada. Can they finish on a high note before they get ready for Super Sunday?
Hannah, was there ever a call on the British boat? If you're in the pack, how do you sort of keep the focus in pointing in the right direction?
Well, I think the focus thing is really hard to keep when you're in the pack because there's so much going on. It's so hard to kind of get clarity of thought when you're in the pack, and that's the difference. When you're out in front, everything seems so much easier because you can see what's coming. You don't interact with any other boats as much. So the teams that can do that really well are so strong in these conditions.
Ian Jensen makes the cross. Tosh Bryant there. Strategist Tom Slingsby stays on the left-hand side, makes the turn. Jason Waterhouse in front of him, and now Slingsby will make the crossing.
Calm in the chaos, Todd. Like you having to work with us in here, isn't it? Staying calm when we're going off with these sailboat races. But there we go. Emirates GBR has split the course. That didn't go all that well for the other teams last time, but the British have got a chance to put the hammer down here. They've got a potential attack on the Italians. Australia, well, they're not shooting away from the fleet yet.
Just look at the difference in angle that they've been sailing compared to the Bonds Flying Roos and the Italians. They've been making much better progress up those ladder lines since they went around that gate mark.
Oh, but penalty. Oh, they pushed it
outside the boundary.
We've said it all day. It's maybe getting a bit boring. All the teams will try and push the limits on that to try and save themselves further up the course. And they've got rid of the penalty pretty quickly. I think they got rid of it with a poor manoeuvre, but they've lost a place. They've opened the door for Canfield. Canfield's got it. Los Gallos here. They come. Dum, 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 dum. Right-hand side of screen. They're up to 5th. They are charging.
Those are the event standings on the left side of your screen. Remember, only the top 3 teams on points will make the event final at the end of tomorrow. Right now, it would be the Bonds Flying Roos, Los Gallos, and the US SailGP team that would be in the final.
Australia and Italy are in an absolute match race. Slingsby's not opening any door on the 2-time match race world champion, Phil Robertson. Look, he sat right in the same direction. They're both going the same way at the same time. They're both in phase, as we'd say at the moment, and potentially even a little bit of disturbed air from that Bonds Flying Roos wing, and that's turning into that 2-3 kilometres an hour boat speed difference that we can see on the Australians there. They're going to work their way up the course. This is a masterclass.
You know who'd like this fight? Our good friend Jimmy Spithill. I bet he's just frothing to be out there at the wheel, but he's got Phil Robertson now steering the boat for him and his Red Bull Italy team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy loved a match race, didn't he? He loved a fight, and he'll just love seeing this Italian boat at the front of the fleet. This is where a team like Red Bull Italy and the quality of sailors you've got in Italy and in and amongst that team, they would expect to be. Again, tough couple of events for them, but the real sprouts of gains here as we see Italy. They have the right of way. United States moving up through the fleet. The Rolex chasing time, so's that GBR are catching, but they've lost a place. They've dropped behind the US team here. Errors are costing them dearly at the moment, and they're only small ones, but at this level, small errors hurt. Oh, here comes Spain.
Good heavens.
Spain have the right of way. Emirates GBR must keep clear of the Spanish. Opens the door for Botín. He'll kick it down. Over. He's up to 4th.
He's going to pick up 2 spots.
Oh, he's a magician at the moment. They are so fast, and they're just picking their way through the fleet.
You mentioned earlier about getting out of phase, Stevie, and I think it's one of the most powerful things you can do on a day like today. as we see the Spanish come round behind the Brits here. The Brits just deciding to put that maneuver on top of them. It just feels like the Spanish are able to look a little bit further up the course, whereas some of the other teams like GBR are just reacting a little bit more.
It's a SailGP flex as they got so close to you. I thought they might give it a high five.
Yeah, well, that was tight, but Hannah's point's bang on. I mean, I think any good sailing, it's to be proactive, not reactive. And that decision to manoeuvre there by the British, it was an odd place to manoeuvre because you know Spain are going to be over speed. You're just reacting to the situation. You're perhaps not playing the long game. And, well, Botín, he'll take advantage of it. But anyway, if you want a masterclass, here he comes, the crumpet.
The Bonds Flying Roos, for the second time today, they win race number 2. They take a break in race number 3, but race number 4 belongs to the green and gold. The Bonds Flying Roos win race 4 here in Bermuda.
Nice work, guys. Great finish.
2 wins on a day, pretty good. But for the Bonds Flying Roo, it's almost half a day's work.
After their clean sweep on Super Sunday, 2 out of 4 seems kind of pedestrian for them. Second place will go to Red Bull Italy. Great job by Phil Robertson and his crew.
Yeah, brilliant result by the Italians. Tough day with some technical issues on the boat, and we saw that dramatic incident before the start, but brilliant start by Phil. We know Phil's always got that in there. Great day for the US team as well here. Really, really good day for the US.
GBR looked like they would be threatening for a top 3 position. They drop back, and they will finish in 5th, with Spain taking 4th place. So a good, consistent day for Los Gallos. Emirates GBR will finish in 5th place, with Switzerland in 6th, and Germany Deutsche Bank in 7th.
I can't help you with that debrief. My Spanish is not quite up to it. But what I would say is, for anyone that wants to know how do you get to finals in SailGP, it's that. They turned an 8th into a 4th. That's one of the performances of the day in that race, even though they're only 4th. Slingsby starting today has been incredible, and he seems to have unlocked some secret with his starting at the moment.
Just when we thought North Star Canada might be in the mix, they finished in 8th, and it'll be Rockwell, Denmark in 9th. And France, Tom Needham thrown into the deep end as DS Team France. They will finish in 10th.
They'll finish in 10th. They'll get a point, though. So, you know, they're grabbing points there. He's really done a great job of getting back into that. Nice job, Tom. That was impressive to jump on board in that situation.